Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us for this week's Bible study here at the prayer page. Appreciate your patience with me. Been a really busy week this week here at the prayer page. Been a good week. God has moved in a lot of ways, but again, it's been busy, so I appreciate your patience. We're going to be looking at 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12 today. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. As a reminder, a couple of things while you're looking up 2 Timothy 4:12. There is an outline available in the comment section below. And then next week, November the 17th, we are going to have a special Thanksgiving service. Basically, we're going to look at see what God has done with the prayer page in 2017. As well, we've got some exciting announcements, some exciting things that are going to be coming up in 2018. We're going to talk about that. So, and one announcement in particular, I am extremely excited about. I'm having to hold myself back and announcing it, but I believe the Lord wants us to hold off until the 17th. So, but it's going to be a welcome addition to the prayer page, and I'm very excited about it. So you'll want to be sure to watch for us again on the 17th, and then in 2 weeks, the 24th on Black Friday. Won't be a Bible study that week. I am taking that week off, and then we'll pick back up on December the 1st. All right, so I want to take a look at it's for some people, I should say for some people, it's a very familiar passage of Scripture. Excuse me. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. But I want to kind of twist on his head, I guess, might be a way of describing it. Let's look at the verse first, and then we'll just go from there. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, Paul writes here to Timothy, he writes, he says, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity." Now, Paul, who wrote this letter to Timothy, he kind of looked at Timothy as his son in the faith. Wasn't his biological son, but he kind of took Timothy under his wings and basically trained him and mentored him to go into the ministry. Now, a couple weeks ago, I actually had an opportunity to be around some young people, and I want to just stop and say this right now. Just as I was thinking about, as the Lord was giving me this message, and in my mind I was saying, well, I was around some young people here a couple of weeks ago. It was like in the cartoons when Wile E. Coyote is chasing a roadrunner, and you know how he stops, and you hear the sounds of those tires squealing. I was like, oh, hold it. I worked for 4 years at a summer camp. Started when I was 15, 16, 17, 18. And then obviously I went to Bible college. And then I worked with children. So I've been around children, teenagers, etc. And for years in my mind I was like a part of that. Well, I'm not that anymore. And so when I literally thought in my mind, I was around some young people recently, I'm like, hold it. I'm 46 years old. Now, for somebody that's 80, yeah, I'm still young. But for those of you that were 80 and like, yeah, he's still wet behind the ears, go back to when you were 40, almost 50. And then think back to the teenagers, those in their early 20s. Those are young people. I'm not part of them anymore. And it hit me. It was like, oh my word, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. But that's all right. I've been looking forward to them. For years, I've been looking forward to being 50 in my 50s. Might be insane, but I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know why. It just, 50s, I've arrived. So, but I digress. Going back to what I was saying, I was around some young people that were in their early 20s, or late teens, early 20s, or basically college-age young people. And they were playing, this was around Halloween, it's at a Halloween party, and they were outside, they were playing games for a while, But at one point, they stopped and they're talking, and one of them is a follow here, the prayer page. And I didn't know her, but she's like, hey, aren't you the prayer page guy? I laughed. I'm like, well, I've been called a lot of things in my lifetime, but never been called the prayer page guy, but I definitely will take that as a compliment. Guilty as charged. And next thing I know, there's this group of young people that are just talking about the Lord, and what the Lord is doing in their lives and how excited they are about what God has for them. And on top of that, excited, and I say the word anxious, but not anxious in a worried way, but anxious as in anxious as, like a kid on Christmas morning is anxious to open the presents. Anxious about what God is going to do for them and what God is going to do in the church. And it's been a while since I've been around that type of environment. It's been a while, and for a split second, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, right, bless your heart, wait until you meet reality. I almost said that. I almost said that, and this verse just jumped in my mind. God is like, whoa, time out. Don't despise them. And so I'm like, God bless you. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. And later on, as I was riding home, my wife's driving. So I was riding home, this verse came back to mind, and I was thinking, we hear this verse preached, and I've preached it many times to campers at summer camp, teenagers in a youth group, Bible study or dorm devotions, in Bible college and dorm devotions, chapel. How many times I've either heard this preacher or preached it myself to young people. I want to spin it on its head and talk to us old people. Paul is telling Timothy, don't let anybody despise your youth, but be an example. What would be an example? And first of all, let me back up. That word despise, the Greek word for despise is, put my bifocals on, katapareno. It means to despise, scorn, to show it as an active insult, to disregard, or in other words, yeah, right, bless your heart. Don't scoff at them. Let no man scoff at your youth, scorn at your youth, but be an example. That word example, Greek word for example is tupos. It's a noun. It means a figure, a model, a type. In other words, a role model. What Paul was telling Timothy is, you be a role model to the older people. Be a reminder to them of back when we were young, and be a reminder of what God can do, and be an example in what? Be a reminder in word. What you say, the words that you say. In your conversation, that's your decorum. There's a saying that I don't hear it as much anymore, but I remember in the 80s it was huge. Your walk talks and your talk talks, but your walk talks louder than your talk talks. We need to be an example not only in our verbal words, but in our conversation, the way that we, our decorum, the way that we present ourselves. For example, I was watching I love Judge Judy. Love Judge Judy. And there was this one episode where a witness, wasn't the actual plaintiff or defendant, it was a witness, I believe, for the defendant. This lady came in, and she would have made people at Walmart blush. And to make it worse, she's in court. And, we all remember, at least I was taught, if you ever go to court, there is a way that you dress. You need to at least, if you can't do a full-blown professional coat and tie, at least do business casual, dress slacks, shirt and a tie, or a button-down shirt, or at least a polo shirt. She looked like she was getting ready to go into a beach. But it's the same with us as Christians. Our presentation, the way that we dress. Again, I'm not saying we have to go out, ladies, you have to always wear a dress. I'm not saying guys, you always have to wear a shirt and a tie. But we certainly don't want to be immodest. We don't want to be rude. Let's just call it rude. There's things that are on T-shirts that are not only just, yes, there's things that are on T-shirts that are vulgar, but there's some things on T-shirts, and they're not vulgar, they're not lewd, but do we really have to go there? Whatever's on that shirt or whatever we're dressing, is it really going to point others to Jesus? Just saying, just something to think about. Charity, love, in our spirit. There is nothing worse. To me, there's two people that absolutely aggravate me more than anything else. Okay, three. One is egotistical preachers. Number two, people that are depressed all the time. Now, it's one thing to have a medical condition where you're depressed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Grumpy Bear. This, one of the young people I was referring you to, we were at a costume party, and this particular individual, where they got it, I don't know, but it was a onesie, and he was one of the Care Bears. I think he was Rainbow Bear, Cherry Bear, whatever. Now, mind you, this guy was about 6'2", 6'3", and it was a huge, but it was hilarious. It was awesome. But, we all remember, the Care Bears, and one of them was Grumpy Bear. Just grumpy all the time. And the other person is a person that's just the type of person that's always critical. Somebody could have been won $1 million or given $1 million. Oh, I bet you they don't tithe it. Really? Or, oh, this married couple, they already have a baby. Oh, they're having another baby. Oh, don't they believe in birth control? Come on. Really? Give me a break. We need to be an example in our spirit. We need to be an example in our faith. Great example, and again, this isn't me. I don't want to I'm going to take a moment and have a praise moment here. So, there's missionaries that I personally support. One of them, they're this close. They're like this close to raising the money they need to go back to South Africa. And so the Lord, spoke to my heart about increasing their support. Really don't have the money to do it. I'm barely making it as it is, but I'm like, you know what, Lord? You want me to do it? Fine. I'll do it. I'll figure it out somehow. It was 2 days later, I get a thing from my insurance in the next year. My monthly premium was going to go from $23 to $480. I'm like, not exactly what I expected, Lord. Helping along with this missionary thing. Well, come to find, but I'm like, well, you'll figure, Lord, you'll figure it out. Just make it happen. Well, come to find out, it was a clerical error. Instead of paying $483, I'm not going to be paying $483. I'm not going to be paying $22. I'm not paying a thing. $0. I have $0 monthly payment. A $1 copay for regular doctors, $10 for specialists. And again, I'm not saying I'm a man of faith. I'm a great hero of the faith. Not exactly. If my wife can tell you, Ron's a lot of things, but a hero of the faith, not so much. But that's an example of how God, I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to put my faith in you that you're going to take care of this, and He showed through. Purity. He's telling the young people, and it's a big one with young people. Let's face it, be pure in your actions and your relationship with others. So Paul has basically told these young people, and we're almost done, be an example in word, conversation, charity, spirit, faith, and purity. And that's all well and fine for young people, but let's spin on its head. Us older individuals, we need to be doing two things. Number one, we need to be living these as well. We need to be an example in word, conversation, charity, spirit, faith, and purity. And on top of that, we need to encourage the young people to be an example in word, conversation, charity, spirit, faith, and purity. And here's the exciting part. When we are an example to the young people, they feed that, they feed that off of us. They, in turn, are going to be an example unto others. It's going to be a circle. They're going to encourage us. We're going to encourage them. And in the end, I think they're going to encourage us older people more because we're seeing what they're doing and we get to see the fruit of their labor. We get to see them lead somebody to the Lord. We get to see them grow in their faith. We get to see them to eventually get married, have children of their own, possibly even go into some sort of ministry, whether it's full-time or whether it's within the church, serving the Lord. So the whole title of the message I put was Be Nice. Don't look down on the young people. Be nice to them. Don't despise them. Be nice to them. Be that example to them so that they, in turn, can go out and be an example to others and then be a blessing to us. Thank you so much for watching. Again, next week, I'm looking forward to our praise service, and then on the 24th, we'll be off. Not sure exactly which direction we're going to go with Christmas this year. Still praying about it. The Lord will open doors. He'll tell me. I mean, it's only 2 weeks till December the 1st. Oh, my bad. Three. Sorry. It's 3 weeks till Christmas, so still got a little bit of time. So, again, thank you so much for watching. Have a safe weekend. Have a great week. We'll see you next Friday. Until then, God bless.